Welcome to Connect It with Kim. I'm Kim McDonnell, connecting you to the stories of the change agents of our world. You change, they change.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fitness Empowerment Podcast. My name is Dani. I am your host and I am your resource for fitness, food, and travel. And today I am so blessed and honored to have Kim McDonnell on the show. She is a holistic health counselor and so much more that definitely does not define her. But I met her recently through my mom. My mom knew I was looking for some health, fitness, and wellness ladies to be on the show and to talk about their expertise and give another point of view. And we got in touch and we really hit it off. So Kim, thank you so much for making the time today to be on the show.
It's wonderful to be here, and I'm so glad that we did connect, and you're another resource for my clients to tap into. I love the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited, and I felt like you just have so much to offer in a realm that I don't touch on usually. So I'm really excited to talk about this. And before we dive into your story, we're going to go through about 5 minutes of some quick rapid fire questions so that the audience can get to know you a little bit better before we hear your deep story. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So not one word answers. It doesn't have to be super short, but the first thing that comes to mind. Okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Where were you born and raised?
New Orleans, Louisiana.
Awesome. And where do you live now?
I live in Covington, Louisiana, about 25 miles outside of New Orleans.
Awesome. What are your daily non-negotiables?
Spending time grounding myself and setting the intention for my day makes for a better day. So I think that if I start that way, everything else is negotiable.
Love that.
Because I'm coming from a good headspace.
Yes. Favorite hobby outside of work?
Being with my grandkids.
Oh, that is an adventure, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's such a great time in my life that I had no idea I would love so much. And they truly do bring the magic. And I see things with new eyes that, busy moms don't see. But Mimi's take the time to see.
Yes. Oh, that's so cute. Favorite type of fitness?
I practice my own brand of fitness. After my MS diagnosis, I was led into different modalities through lots of physical therapy, through energy healing with Donna Eden's work, and Qigong from the Women's Center here locally taught me that. A wonderful woman by the name of Virginia Davis taught that class. And so I've kind of meshed all of that together into what I call mindful movements. And there's a free video on my website for what I do every day. And when I don't do it, I feel it. So for me, that opens up the body and grounds me, centers me, and creates energy like you would not imagine. And for someone who can't, go and be the gym rat that I used to be for 2 hours a day, this has been a great fix for me. So I would encourage everyone to look into some kind of mindfulness practice like yoga or qigong or tai chi or something like that. It's wonderful for the body and the mind.
Awesome. I can't wait to go check out that video.
Thanks.
What is your favorite type of food?
I really feel that if you had asked me this when I was younger, it would have been chocolate. I was a sweet addict, but since I've evolved, food doesn't really have a hold on me. But if I'm going to choose to eat, it's going to be whole, organic, farm to table, what's in season. And I'm going to just be blessed by that food. So I don't have nothing comes to mind anymore, which I think is a real accomplishment for an Italian.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And a New Orleanian where, food was our life, right? We revolved around food. So yeah, I organic, fresh, in-season food is my jam.
Beautiful. Dream travel destination.
Oh, I am fortunate that I have traveled, and I would love to go back to Bali. And I would love to experience new places that I might not have ever thought to go to, like India, for example. And I might be having a speaking engagement in the Middle East. So yeah, I'm open to explore and not limit myself to just one dream. There's the world.
Dream travel destination. the world. I love it.
Yes. Yes. Global.
Yes, that's amazing. Last drink you grabbed out of the fridge.
I I drink water. So I guess the last drink I would have grabbed out of the fridge would have been my daughter's kombucha because she loves kombucha. And I'll take a sip of hers here and there. But that would be the last drink I probably grabbed out of the fridge was
Okay.
her kombucha.
Awesome. Last book or podcast you read or listened to that you recommend?
So
Next to your own.
the last one I read and I really delved into, actually Oprah Winfrey had a podcast with Eckhart Tolle every Monday, and I think it just ended this past Monday. And it was to go over the chapters in his book, the I'm going to say his old book. Let me pull it up real quick because I don't want to say the wrong book. A New Earth with Eckhart Tolle. I highly recommend that book. And
Okay.
then the last book that really had a shift in the way I started dealing with my clients and explaining themselves, because I believe to know yourself is to love yourself, was a book to explain the Enneagram, which is a personality test. And it just blew my mind how the message really resonated for me to understand other people and their personalities, because we tend to think we're right about everything or that somebody's wrong about something, and this really does really help with understanding everyone has a way of thinking and being in this world, and we're all here to help and support each other. It's kind of like the yin and yang of each other. You'll see that in marriages, the opposites attract. So the book is called The Road Back to You, and it's really about this Enneagram. So we can post a link to one of the simple free tests. There's probably more in-depth tests that cost, I think there's one that costs $10, one that costs $12, but I think everybody should know themselves to understand themselves, but then they should also know their people, their husband, their children, so that they can speak to them in a level that they can receive them and not be coming from their own understanding or in such a limited belief system. So that would be the one that really changed the trajectory of how I'm practicing my spiritual counseling with couples in particular.
Wow. The Enneagram has come up in conversation for me probably 5 or 6 times over the past month. So I have
Really?
to go do it because this is obviously a sign.
Game changer for me too. I had been exposed to it about a year ago from someone, and I took the test and I started getting the little daily email saying, as this number, this is how, watch for this. And I thought, what a good mindfulness practice every day. I have another practice. I read The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie. And it's a paragraph a day, very doable. I keep it in the bathroom. I gave one to my children. My husband and I read the one in our bathroom. And it's a quick way to start my day, is just, like I said, being in intention, grounding myself, and getting that message that I believe is, from God. And so I think he gives his voice to people on this earth, and Melody's one of those people. It just resonates. I think we all have a form of codependency one way or the other, whether it's to food or alcohol or to other people. Owning our voice is important. So I read hers, and I read that little daily Enneagram message because it speaks to who I am, personality type, and when I'm expressing in my negative, look out for this so that you can change it, and being aware of, your not so good things and how to shift them to the good, perspective of yourself. So I think it's mindfulness, and it's a great tool. I would highly recommend it.
I love that. And that's the perfect time of day. You're going to the bathroom first thing in the morning, start
Yep.
off your day on the right path. I
Yes.
love that. Okay, last 2 quick rapid fire questions. What is exciting for you right now?
Oh, wow. Well, the work I'm doing with couples is really exciting, because I wasn't trained in this, except through the school of hard knocks with my own relationship. I've been married for 27 years, met my husband early on in life, been together since we were 16. So the challenges that brings, to be with someone as you grow. I'm not the same person I was at 16, but there's a lot of me that is. And
Mhm.
him too. So being able to work through things and then apply those to other couples and see in a quick 4 appointments how their marriage can shift from near divorce to understanding and acknowledging each other and validating each other, and having that romance back and that love and that energy. I'm really excited about that work that I never thought I'd be doing, but I
So
am.
cool. And the transformations you see are probably just, those are exciting in themselves.
It's very exciting, and it's getting people to own their truth and speak up, because a lot of anxiety is from suppressing what you really want and need in your life, and not knowing what that is or how to ask for it. A lot of women have suppressed their feelings and emotions for years, and allowed things to kind of steer them away from their truth. And I think men ultimately want to take care of us and provide for us, but not at the expense of who you are. They don't want an empty shell of a woman. So rising up in your greatness as a female, as a woman who really has insight in depth into emotions, and not suppressing those emotions, but not coming across in a way that they can't receive you. So teaching women how to be heard in a positive voice, not a victim voice, is very important work for me as a woman to spread that knowledge.
Absolutely. That's huge. And I love that that's the work you're doing. That's basically what I've focused on a lot in the past probably 6 months or so, just that personal growth, that personal development, and learning how to connect more with other women and start that conversation of being more comfortable speaking my truth and understanding how to do that, and knowing that it's okay to be vulnerable and that I won't be judged for it, and that other people are going through the same exact thing, and I'm just not alone in all of these fears that I put out there, without knowing whether they're actually real or not. I'm just projecting them.
Exactly, exactly. And if we can really understand that what we see is a projection of what's going on inside of us, and to turn inward and do the inner work, it shines through on the outer. And so instead of wanting everyone else in your family to change you. And that's easy to say, but hard to do. That's the hard work that I will continue to do till the day I die. I think as humans, we are flawed. And until we leave this realm, we're going to have that work to do. But that's our goal, to walk this earth like Jesus walked. If he could do it, we can do it.
Absolutely.
As our example, or whatever you believe in. I don't, want to steer anyone that does not have that God belief. I think that everyone needs a higher purpose and higher calling on they have a higher calling on their life, and to line up with that purpose is when, this world becomes a lot easier in some ways, and a lot more difficult in some too. You have to break all those old systems and dogmas and principles that you thought were rigidly in place, that now don't serve a purpose for you to meet your higher purpose. So that's a much deeper conversation.
It really is. A whole podcast could be just on that, maybe several.
Yeah. A series. It's my
Right.
Dig Deeper series, actually, from my book readers. They go dig deeper and do that work.
Amazing. And that brings us to, what are you grateful for today?
Well, I'm grateful for this time right now. I try and live in the present, and I appreciate your energy and your being here, and you're wanting to explore a little bit of what I do and share that with the world. So I'm grateful for this time together.
Oh, excellent. Well, I am grateful for this as well. It's always enjoyable, and I always learn something new from the speakers that I work with and have on the podcast. So thank you so much for having that time today.
No
So
problem.
let's dive in. You want to do this work for life, and it's always, transforming for yourself and for others. So what does it mean for you to be a holistic health counselor or coach, and who is it for?
It's for whoever shows up. I believe that people are drawn to you for the right time and the right season in their life to get what they need from you, good, bad, or indifferent. And so my business and my practice is basically word of mouth. So I believe if they're led to it, I'll see them through it and hold their hand through those, transformational work that they do with me. So it's for anyone that shows up. And that could be a really sick person that's facing, some diagnoses like I was, name diseases that have no cure. Or it could be just that mom that's feeling overwhelmed by her teenager, or the couple that's not sure if they want to continue their marriage. So it's whoever resonates with what I'm saying will contact me, and we'll do the work together, and there'll be change. So.
That's beautiful. And you mentioned that you've dealt with some, an uncurable disease, and you mentioned MS earlier, or multiple sclerosis. Can you
Mhm.
take us through the journey of how that happened, how you noticed that something was different and changing, and how that led you into becoming the holistic health coach that you are today?
Sure. MS was kind of like the last straw. It had been 10 years of pain and different diagnoses. I mean, I've had diagnoses like fibromyalgia, interstitial cystitis, ovarian cyst, things that came with lots of pain, depression, because I was living in pain and constantly trying to find answers. I had had a major car accident. I had had a tumor removed from my left ear, a cholesteatoma that went from supposed to be a half-hour surgery to a 3-hour ordeal where they removed, some of my fascia from my skull and replaced my eustachian tube. So just lots of pharmaceutical drugs to get me to try and fix me, and it actually added to a whole bunch of problems in my gut. Fast forward 10 years, the diagnosis of MS, it was almost like I was looking for an answer. I thought it would be cancer. I thought it would be Alzheimer's. My memory was shot. And I went numb from the toes up and it just kept climbing every day. And so it was after a neck surgery that had resulted from that car accident, 10 years prior. I finally succumbed to neck surgery. And my neurosurgeon said, something's incredibly wrong. I think that you fractured your back. And I said, I haven't done anything. But it turned out there was myelitis on my spine, on my cervical neck. And so then, they did a brain scan and they saw myelitis, which is when your body attacks the myelin sheath. That's what MS is. And it's multiple lesions. So then it was, more tests, more confirmation. But MS really isn't diagnosable. It's process of elimination. So I was hitting all the boxes to say I was. And the course of action that they take is preventative, from not MS, because they can't get rid of it, they can't cure it, but to slow it down. And so they were telling me, take these interferons and you will stop it from progressing as fast, and you might gain 10 years on your life, because you're going to die 10 years earlier with MS. And it's going to be debilitating. You'll be in a wheelchair. It just was not a pretty picture.
Mm-mm.
And I was grateful that someone I knew had gone on interferons and it changed his personality. And being the people pleaser that I was at the time, I would rather die happy and having people like me than die miserable and everybody hating me. I mean, so literally being a people pleaser kind of changed the course of my life. And I said, no, I'm not going to do the interferons. And so I didn't. And the episode lasted about 8 weeks of numbness. And then it was followed by what's called Lermet sign, which for anyone that's had chemo might know about it. It's every time I looked down, even just the slightest, I would feel an electrical shock in my legs.
Wow.
And that lasted for about 8 weeks. But you don't know if it's going to last or not. You don't know if the numbness is going to go away. You don't know if the Lermet sign is going to go away, but it did. And I turned to holistic practices because I felt like I had no other choice. Interferons were not in the cards for me. Something so deep inside of me said, don't do that. But I still needed to do something.
Sure.
I'm not the kind of personality that's just going to lay there and succumb to what they say. There was something in me that resonated, that I needed to do more. And so that's really how I came into the field of naturopathic medicine and applying those methods, and quickly turned my life around and now have a career in that.
Amazing. I don't think probably the average person can fathom going through that many trials in a period of time. It was just sounds like it's one thing after another after another. And you're your perspective of, I'm not going to be miserable. Like, I will do whatever I can to make sure I maintain a happy lifestyle, no matter what that looks like. That's amazing, because you could have turned to a lot of different routes that would have probably taken a negative,
Yeah.
path.
I mean, look, I went through a period where I was trying to numb the pain with alcohol just so I could, like I said, I was a people pleaser. I wanted people to like me. So if I had to be out in public and I was in this extreme pain, I was going to drink some alcohol and try and numb the pain. It never worked. My pain was so much greater than any numbing agent. And I wasn't the kind that could just take pills and be in the bed. I had a child at the time. Now I have two. But that just wasn't me. But I totally needed to feel that helplessness so that I could resonate that with other people that use other things, whether it's food addictions or alcohol or drugs. I totally can get where when you're at your wit's end and you don't know what else to do and you just want to show up as you and something is taking you away from you, you will do anything to numb that thing to show up the way you want to. But that's not facing your truth. That's trying to hide it. Um,
Sure.
so that's really, it was a necessary growing opportunity for me. And so that I can go back and say, oh, yeah, I've been there and done that and
Hmm.
understand that.
That story is so important to share. Now, did you have a specific moment where something switched and you said, okay, this is the turning point. I know what I'm going to do differently, and this is the path that's going to excel me forward? Was there any specific thing? I know you mentioned a friend of yours who is a massage therapist. Maybe that was
Yeah.
part of it.
Well, so biofeedback is the scan that I run now, and that's where this all started. So I didn't know anything about holistic medicine or approaches. My dad's a gynecologist. I was only privy to modern medicine my whole life, and I was very rooted in that. I took pre-med in school. I worked with my dad in his office for years. I was involved in surgeries that he did. I was very medical minded, and I had a real passion for science. So when my massage therapist friend said, you need to try biofeedback, and she couldn't really explain what it was, I was like, I've got nothing to lose. I'll just try it. And my brain was just opened up to a whole new world. Biofeedback is a broad term, but basically what the scan is galvanized skin technology, and it's like a lie detector test. And a lot of chiropractors use muscle testing. You can use muscle testing. I used to go in the store and muscle test whether I should be eating a food or not. This is something that anyone has the power. God made us perfect. We get in our own way. But muscle testing is basically tapping into your truth, right? And I keep saying own your truth. But when you're so busy listening to everybody else's truth for you and not tuning into God's truth for you, your judgment gets clouded. So this is tapping into the truth beyond all those fears. All those fears projected onto you because of somebody else's story, right? And how many times do we do that in life? We feel something, so then we attach a story to that feeling and make this whole big mountain out of a molehill, when really we were just remembering how that energy felt from another situation that turned out this way and applying that story to this one. Again, the dig deeper work. But back to the biofeedback, I did it, my first scan, and Tanya Nichols is the practitioner that I work with. She knew more about me than all the doctors with charts open and lots of lab work. And so I was going to listen to what she said because it made sense. And her protocol was simple. It was avoid these foods, take these natural supplements and oils. And within 2 weeks, the migraines that I was suffering from on a daily basis that would take me to the hospital to get injections of something that I was actually allergic to, but the allergic reaction was less painful than the migraine. So I would, on occasion, succumb to that procedure. It was a concoction of Benadryl, Phenergan, and I think it was Furacet. And I would have these convulsions, but the headache would be gone. And it would only last an hour, and it would be every few seconds I would be convulsing. But I'd rather do that than live in the migraine pain with the nausea and the ocular issues of not seeing and not being able to get out of bed. And even bed wasn't helping me. It was that bad. So in 2 weeks' time, to get rid of that kind of pain, I kept going, and I just kept changing for the better and healing, and layers and years of cellular debris and things that were holding me back in life physically and mentally were just falling away. And that was within 6 months. I looked different. I felt different. People were amazed. I had lost 25 pounds of inflammation in 2 months. My mom even asked, "Are you okay? Are you anorexic?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm getting healthy. I'm losing all this inflammation. Inflammation is there to guard the body, and I didn't need that."
Hmm.
So it was an amazing transformation. And I became more confident in who I was, and owning my truth and showing up for myself. I even did some plays, which I never thought I would do, and even sang on stage, and just became the
Wow.
me that little girl was always meant to be, but all the outside things took away. So getting back to my truth by tapping in using the biofeedback method was truly healing for me. And I think
Wow.
it's God's plan for all of us, you know? He's provided everything on earth that we need, and we just, we want things faster. You know, if we get a little sniffle or a cold, we run to the ready med to get something to stop it because we got to get to work. And we can't let our kids miss school because then we're going to miss work. And it's like we're doing all these things to rush through life and rush the process. But when you actually look at what the process of life is, it is dying. We're all dying. And we have seasons where we transform. You know, in spring, we should be cleaning up and spring cleaning. And that means on a cellular level, just like in winter, the leaves fall off the trees and they lose all that so they can hibernate for the winter. We do that. We're not as productive in the winter. We shouldn't be starting new projects. We should just be resting and then spring forward in spring by letting go of all that excess fluid and lymphatic drainage. So there's a medical process that happens to us that we don't honor and we get in the way of. But when we start flowing with what God intended and what nature has in store for us, we actually can resonate in that higher frequency of healing and not be in dis-ease from being at a low frequency. And that comes from what you put in and on your body, what foods you eat, what lotions and potions you put on your body. You know, those all can take you down into that lower vibrating frequency of dis-ease. So getting rid of those things, starting with the food, you know, I needed to get rid of gluten. I knew that. I knew that before the biofeedback. I wasn't strong enough to get rid of the gluten. I'm Italian. Food, everything. Now I don't even think about it. I don't crave it. I don't need it. I know that if I eat gluten, the next day I'm going to have a migraine and I'm going to have green sinuses.
Oof.
That's a pretty telling tale, right? But when you're so sick, you don't know what's the culprit. So taking things out one at a time is doable for people. They can manage it and they see the results and they keep going. And before you know it, they're changed for the better and they're back to the holistic person they were always meant to be. So that was a long explanation for what biofeedback is, but I
That
hope
was
that
so
resonates with someone.
good. I'm already feeling relaxed listening to you talk about the seasons and the change and where you can slow down and then where you should start new projects. I'm like, that sounds like right. That sounds like we should
It's
really
truth.
consider that.
Yes, and we just coming from that season where there's been a lot of anxiety and chaos and emotions, and you have to look at what's going on. There's Mercury in retrograde. My dad always said, you know, he's an OBGYN, up, it's going to be a busy night. There's a full moon. We know scientifically that a full moon causes more births because of the magnetic pull. We also know that in an old folks home, you're going to have what's called lunar crazy. But yet we don't apply that scientifically to modern medicine. We should. He's knowledgeable that he's going to have more babies delivered on a full moon. We're knowledgeable that the old folks home is going to have more disruption. We actually know that there's more people killing each other on those nights. So
Ooh, that's
when
scary.
we all really look at, oh, it's kind of like PMS in a woman, right? We know we're not acting our best. We know we're expressing in, well, why is that? And so I was always one to go look at the science. Well, you know, what's dumping into your system? What toxic buildup? So that's scientific, but it shouldn't be. We don't have to live in PMS. We don't have to live in that chaos and that disruption. That's the liver not doing its job efficiently. And that's because of the toxins you're exposing yourself to. And some of them are your own thoughts. So if I had succumbed to what the named diseases were and sat in that bed as a victim, I wouldn't have gotten better, you know? And so I think that, we all have a choice. Do we want to show up for ourselves and be the change, or do we want to succumb and be the excuse not to change?
It's a good question. And it probably, that transformation for most of us starts with learning what questions to ask and then actually answering those questions. And I bet that's how a lot of your work with couples or individuals starts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any good counselor is going to ask you questions.
It's amazing.
Because it's not my truth. It's not my story. You could be listening to this call and never had a medical issue in your life. And I don't want you to not hear the truth for you in this, because I think everybody has um, their own path and their own journey to finding truth. Mine was from a place of dis-ease. Somebody else's could be from, a divorce or some other trauma. Maybe their parents were divorced, or there was, a death in the family. Or, I mean, you've been through a lot in your life, Danye. I am sure that all of those things, as horrible as they were, led to who you are today. And so, not to live in regret and victim, but to say, what am I going to do to be resilient and make this matter? Make these bad things that happen mean something, not just to me, but what's my charge for the greater good? What is this going to do for society? And so that's what gets me excited, is not just what it's done for me personally, what it's done for my family, how my grandkids are being raised completely different because of the changes I made in me, and my kids got to witness those changes and apply that to their lives. But then what can I do for all the clients that I see and all the people that are going to listen to this podcast, or the many others that you've done or I've done? Um, we're not living on this earth alone. And I think the self-help movement does a lot of good, but it also stops a little short, and you have to go deeper into, now that I love myself enough, what's resonating for truth in me is to love another and walk that walk, be that compassion, be that love you seek, and dig deeper into how can I be that. And it's through looking in and saying, okay, where am I judging that person? If I'm feeling jealousy or paranoia or mistrust or a lack of love, what's resonating me that I need to fix? And go there. Don't blame and shame someone else for you giving control to them of how you feel inside. So I think there's a big, deeper explosion of that happening in our world, and shifting consciousness to look inward and stop being, hurt people hurt people. We know that. So if you heal the hurt inside of you, you're not going to draw in more hurt, and you're not going to perpetuate more hurt to others. And it starts at home with your spouse, with your children. But then once you get that one done, you do it to the world. And I think that's what we're both doing.
Absolutely. I love that you just said hurt people, and that brought back to mind a quote I heard recently from Lindsay Sikornik. She said, hurt people, but healed people heal people. And that's what you're doing. And I love it. And maybe she wasn't the first person to say it, but that's the first time I've heard that. And so I love that you're bringing it back and it's resonating some more. And that's what I feel like we're putting
Awesome.
into the world. We're healing ourselves, and then that's healing other people. And it's like a trickle effect.
Yep. Yeah, that's the front cover of my book, is a drop of water. And I want to be that ripple effect of change. It starts with one drop, and if we're each doing our part, we really can shift this world into a frequency of love and above, and cancel out that hate. And that's a big project. But if we all do the work inside of ourselves, we can be that ripple effect. We can make that change, so.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, I want to go in so many different directions. So I'm so curious though, when it comes back to that biofeedback, what was it that your friend was able to tell you from that biofeedback scan that you said, how does she know that about me? Like she really knows me. What was it that came out of that?
Well, I mean, she knew things about my body without knowing anything but my name. Like she she really painted a powerful picture. And because I do this work with other clients, I've gotten affirmation of that and watching other people's faces. Um, one boy, we're in Louisiana, there's no coal mine. She asked him, did your grandfather or great grandfather work in a coal mine? And he and his mom looked at each other. He's 21 years old, and they started laughing. And he's like, yeah, they both did. And she said, well, don't go work in a coal mine because they left you with this cancer marker that can only be expressed if you go work in a coal mine. Well, that's valuable information.
Oh my
So,
gosh. That could change someone's life.
totally, right? So, and how would she pull that out, right? It had to be from what the scan showed. And so these scans are really powerful. I truly believe that every doctor needs to have this Zyto Compass machine in their office and use this. It will cut down on overhead, insurance, guesswork, lab work. It will cut down on, I think everybody needs to know their genetic profile because, first do no harm. And I think that, a lot of the problems that arise with people is because they're having these allergic reactions and these inflammatory responses and their body can't deal. The world of psychology is delving into that with, prescribing, because they know that if they prescribe the wrong pill, suicide can occur. And that has happened enough for them to know, first do no harm. I need to know this person's genetics. So that industry in healthcare is starting to pull genetics before they prescribe. If they're a good doctor, if you are seeing someone that is not pulling genetics and they're prescribing you antidepressants and things of that nature, you really need to ask more questions. So we did, as holistic practitioners, dive into genetics because we need to know what's good for you and what's going to resonate with your body. But the biofeedback took a lot of guesswork out. For me, the aha moment was, she said, you have had parasites for 2.5 years wreaking havoc on your body. They are their own little microorganisms in there with their own brains, and they are taking over. And they're eating all the good bacteria. That's why you're so deficient. They're taking all your resources and robbing you. And it sounds really gross. And, I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And I might have not fully believed it, but yeah, I saw them come out of me. So there was no second guessing her. And it just was the proof I needed in my scientific brain that I had evidence that what she saw came out of me and I saw. And so there was lots of aha moments like that. She told me I needed Digize essential oils because she saw that something was going to go on with my stomach before it happened. Symptoms are the last to show up, actually. What we see going on in the body happens before the symptoms show. And so thank goodness I bought that Young Living oil, and I had it because I did have a gallbladder attack. And I drank 3 drops of it, and it helps the nausea and the sweating and the feeling of I've got to rush to the doctor and fix this. And she gave me a protocol to rid myself of gallstones. And so each time I had those little miracle things happen, it brought me deeper into, wow, there's a whole new way of thinking. And if this is true, and I've never been exposed to this truth, what else in life could be true that I just had no perception of, right? We're very limited in what we see growing up. It's based on what our parents exposed us to. And I remember, learning about religions of the world in college at Loyola. I didn't even know what a Buddhist was or a Muslims. We need to know about other people's beliefs. That's history. But we were so limited in what we saw, so just like I was only rooted in modern medicine and I didn't know another way to think or believe, this exposed me, and God gave me these little miracles of truth to open my brain up and discover other truths that were out there that resonated in me and for me and helped me get better.
It's so powerful. And now it makes you wonder, like, what could this biofeedback tell me about myself? And then you mentioned the Digize and the essential oils. You probably save so much time and money by just having something like the essential oil instead of going to the hospital. I mean, how many times?
Yes, thousands of dollars. And now it's a way of life for me and for my kids. And it's giving my clients the tools that they need to succeed because, what we do put in and on our body affects us, make it good. And so the Young Living products are holistic. They're the truest form of plant-based medicine there is. They work quickly. They raise your frequency. I was talking about disease frequencies. An organic apple might be a 40 hertz frequency. Well, that's good. A McDonald's hamburger is going to be a negative. It's not going to give you any life force. But an essential oil, is going to give you in the hundreds hertz frequency. So we are meant to resonate on that higher frequency. We are not meant to resonate on a McDonald's frequency that causes dis-ease. And when you start taking those negative frequency foods out and those negative frequency thoughts out of your head, you can start raising your vibration. Well, a lot of people have PTSD from trauma in their childhood, from those stories that we attach based on feelings from the past into the current moment. We need to work on those. The fastest way I can help people shift is with oils, because they are resonating at that high frequency. And so what used to be acceptable to the body is no longer okay. I don't crave that bad gluten. I don't crave cursing like I used to. I don't crave the alcohol like I used to. I don't crave the things that were suppressing the symptoms in me. So it's not as hard when you have the tools. So giving my clients the tools in the form of plant-based medicine and like Young Living, then they can go and change out their dishwashing detergent, their the bath products, their face products, and they can put essential oils in their regimen to uplift them and get them to that higher frequency. I think that everyone should have this in their medicine cabinet, you know? This is the life force.
I
This is
agree. And
what God intended for us.
absolutely. And I see that you have a bunch of essential oils sitting on your shelf there. And I have in one of my kitchen drawers a bunch of them. And I think probably a lot of us that don't read or work on understanding them on a regular basis may have them sitting in our kitchen, but we don't really know what to do with them other than, oh, this one smells good. Let me put it in the diffuser. Could you give us some actionable tips for maybe one that works well for maybe like stress relief and anxiety or sleeping, and maybe some of the common ones you see?
Sure. So there's so much education that I provide with my team. I have over 230 people and growing every day because, like that ripple effect, you tell someone about a great restaurant, they're going to go eat there. You tell someone about these life changing oils, they're going to want to have them in their home. So for stress relief, my first love and my daughter, who was going into seventh grade in a new school, her first love was stress away, right? So that's pretty easy to know what it's for. Mine was tranquil. So everybody has their own, favorite that they resonate with. And so when you start with Young Living, everybody starts with a starter kit, and they did a really good job of putting now 12 essential oils in that kit, but they truly are the essentials. They hit everything from, what do you reach for when you might be having, less than healthy head pain, or feeling like, oh, I've got this pressure, or when you're having anxiety, or when you're not sleeping, or when somebody gets a bobo. They did a great job of picking the oils that would really be a great starter kit for replacing some of the things that you would normally reach for in your medicine cabinet. So that's a great one. Those two are great for stress and sleep. Peace and calming comes in the kit, and I will tell you, it knocks me out. So if you are one of those people that can't settle their brain at night, peace and calming
Ah,
is amazing, and it smells so good. You can literally, there's one called Gentle Babies. We could just open it in front of the baby's nose, and the baby goes from crying to falling asleep. So these are
mm.
powerful medicines from God, from the earth that was supplied to us. And I think it's wonderful that so many people are reaching for oils. Um, and a lot of people don't know why. Like you said, they think it just smells good. But I think we did a lot in our world to that we didn't know was harming ourselves. There's a lot of toxins in perfumes and candles and your makeup and a lot of things that we know now scientifically are interrupting your estrogen. And I believe that's at the basis for people being confused about their sex. We have so many things in our epigenetics, what's going on outside of our what was provided to us to confuse the system. And we see that on the scan. We see where the hormones are just crazy. And then we see that there's a genetic condition that was turned on by them. So, drinking out of plastic bottles does cause estrogen markers to form cancer cells. So, if you have that predisposition, you need to know, don't don't drink that. Well, I'm saying, well, it's not good for the landfill anyway. Let's all do away with that. Get yourself a good, bottle and drink out of it, and filter your water from the fluoride and the chloride and all the things they put in it that weren't meant to be in your body. So there's so much education that goes into my Life's Essentials team, and that's kimsoilteam.com. So I do have an oil team that I educate, and I help them learn what they can use in and on their body, in their air quality. The diffusers all are like humidifiers. There's some that are atomizers. It really changes and shifts the energy in the room. So it's so many tools with the oils.
Amazing. And I'm going to make sure that we tell everybody about all the different places that they can find you and follow you and learn more, because I know you have a YouTube channel and a book, and there's clearly not enough time in the day to cover everything that you have to offer. So I'm going to have to send people your way. But
absolutely.
Where could we find a biofeedback system or machine? Who do we reach out to start the process of learning where our starting point is?
Just reach out to me. I have a link to Zyto. I can put that up as well. Zyto is the company that has the galvanized skin technology. There are other companies. I find that I've heard other people not feel like theirs are as accurate when they've gotten the other ones. So I do prefer the Zyto. Dr. Tanya Nichols is Comprehensive Wellness Solutions, and she has coaches like me in other areas. Her website is a wealth of knowledge. And, her scan is boosted with a lot of 30 years of naturopathic work and medical science. She started as a nurse, and she has 28 degrees from psychiatry, experience and social work experience, and now genetics research with Harvard. So her scan is very specific and very accurate. And so anyone that has more complicated issues, I do recommend going straight through, one of her coaches to use her software. But yeah, the Zyto company has done a great job, and I'll be glad to give referrals for that if somebody wants. There are a lot of people in Young Living that do the simple Zyto scan just to see what oils does my body need, and I think that helps people get to that higher frequency faster when they know what they need and they start applying those things. I would say for anyone watching, start with your food. Start taking out something that instinctively is not resonating well with you. Mm-hmm. Start eating organic foods. Start cleaning your fruits and vegetables before you eat them. Be mindful of what you put in and on your body. There's a great app called Think Dirty that I tell people to use in the grocery store. You can put that free app on your phone and scan the products and see how dirty is this product and should I not be using this. Again, Young Living provides a lot of the stuff that I use now for my face. I use their makeup. I use their face care. It's easier and they give me money back. So it's a no-brainer for me. But start with looking up the ingredients on the things you commonly use and see how low that's taking your frequency, because I can tell you the stuff you're using on your body, if you're not thinking about going organic, it's actually dumbing you down. It is making your body sick. You might not be having the physical symptoms yet, but trust me, it is lowering your frequency and exposing you to things that are not meant to be. So I think power is in knowledge, and everybody needs to take responsibility for knowing. It's not, I can't possibly teach everyone, but I can tell you, start asking questions, start looking at labels, and start knowing what you're putting in your body and what that's doing to it. Live Strong is a great site. EWG, Environmental Working Group. You can maybe notate all of those things to educate people. I have the Dirty Dozen up on my biofeedback Facebook page. Know the Dirty Dozen, know to avoid them, and where they come from. So hopefully that resonates.
Awesome. Yes. And I will link all those things below so that if anybody who's listening or watching says, oh, I forgot to take notes, I was driving, it's all going to be in the show notes. So nobody has to worry about that. But
Awesome.
Kim, before we kind of wrap things up, I do want to be respectful of your time. Where can everyone find you, follow you, and connect with you?
The best way is just through my website, www.kimmcdonnell.com. And my name is very different. It's KIMMCDONNEL. So 2 N's, 1 L in McDonnell. And not like the Ronald McDonald. Not the McDonald version that most people know. So 2 N's and 1 L. And I give free clarity calls to find out where I can better serve you and make you that appropriate appointment. I have resources on there, my free mindful movements meditation. People that choose to read my book, I have a whole free course on there to help walk them through the journaling questions and the meditations and prayer for peace. And then I have a dig deeper course that I offer for those that want to work deeper and do the work on themselves that I was talking about earlier. So there's tons of things that I can help people with. Just whatever resonates with them will be what's right.
That's amazing. Okay. And last question. This podcast is all about fitness, food, and travel not necessarily meaning on vacation, but we have this busy, hectic lifestyle every day. So what would be, and I know you've talked about a lot of resources today, but what would be your best resource for recommendations when it comes to somebody taking that next step on their fitness, food, and travel journey?
Well, definitely start with your instincts and sitting, relaxing, and breathing and knowing, be still and know. I think that, we have the truth inside of us. And so if you're being pulled to go do something, go do it. Start a class, in your community. Go change a food. If something's telling you, oh, I should do Whole30 or I should do keto, try it. Do what you're led to do. It'll be right for you. When you sit, relax, and breathe and cancel out all the noise of everybody else's opinions, the truth resides in you. So I would say do that. I recently just was led to go to a Mind Valley reunion in LA and take my daughter and my husband. And I had done it before on my own, and then I brought my husband the second time, but something was really strongly telling me, bring Kylie. And I did, and it was such an amazing experience. So I would say listen to those innate feelings of, I should probably be doing this, or I should change this, or something needs to give here. Sit, relax, breathe, and let that truth come, and then take action. Small steps forward in the right direction. You'll look back and realize how much you've transformed your life.
Oh, so good. And again, you're calming me. You have a calming presence. And when you say just sit and relax and breathe, I'm like, oh, this is good. This is so good. I feel like you gave me a therapy session today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I set the intention for it to be healing for whoever listens. So I appreciate that you're telling me that. And I would say that is my number one go-to. Sit, relax, breathe, ground yourself by sending energy from the head all the way to the floor. And I visualize 2 metal rods just coming out of my feet, driving deep into the earth's crust to ground me, because we're so moved by the EMFs in the atmosphere with all the computer technology and all the opinions and all the news and all the things that kind of take us out of this centering and grounding. So I think breathing calms that nervous system down and centers us and grounds us into truth. And so when we're so busy searching for the answers outside of ourselves, it can cause confusion and stress. And so breathing and resetting every day, 100 times a day, it takes, you're supposed to be breathing, but doing it intentionally, chewing intentionally, all these things make you more mindful. And so the first chapter in my book is check your intentions. If your intention is to control other people, you're going to be the one feeling controlled. But when you sit, relax, and breathe and let go of control, things happen the way they're supposed to.
That's a powerful concept. Amazing.
It's
Well, we're
probably the
gonna
hardest one for people to get, but trust me.
I believe you. I believe you. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. I know we could keep talking for a while and we'll have to continue this in the future. But Kim, thank you so much for spending time with me today and for sharing your story and just so many golden nuggets of wisdom for the audience today. I know that as much as I felt relaxed and calm and I've set some new intentions during this hour, other people listening and watching are going to do the same as well. So thank you so much.
I'm so grateful for you to have me on, and for everyone out there, just be blessed.
Amazing.
Bless others.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen watching or listening, thank you so much for your time today. We know it's valuable, so we certainly hope that you received some amazing wisdom from today. And if you want to see more of us, then make sure you're subscribed to our podcasts, YouTube channels, and all the social media that you want to. Again, it's all going to be linked in the show notes and the description boxes below. And have an amazing Friday, an amazing weekend, and we'll see you guys in the next episodes. Bye.